Good evening and welcome to the business meeting of February 1st, 2024. Please rise as Ms. Toriano's class leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Yeah, excellent job. I love the flag part also. So, Mrs. Parmalee and Mrs. Horvath are not here tonight, so it's the three of us filling in. I'd like to open it up to the public comment to speak on any of the listed agenda items. Yeah. And that would be no. So, the October 2023 Treasurer's Report is available in the business office. And next we'll move to the consent agenda.
Resolved to approve the consent agenda, items 2 through 7, as presented to the board at this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? Mrs.
The
Bellino?
consent agenda includes approval of minutes, approval of additions to the substitute listing, approval of 3 health and welfare contracts, Dobbs Ferry, Yorktown, and Harrison, approval of a contract with Partners in Safety, which handles our Department of Transportation required testing for our bus drivers, a PPS contract for a school for classified students, and a agreement to assist with the district with RFP preparation of contracts. Approval to amend additional work hours for staff members, and approving days without pay for certain staff members, as well as approving mid-year in-service and graduate credits.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. We'll now move into reports, and I think we're starting with the students tonight.
So we have a number of things to talk about. First, semi-recently, Putnam Valley hosted a 9-team wrestling tournament in the Wellness Center end of the gym, and that went very well for some of our athletes. I believe Estor Ordonez and Jaden Tesher got number 1 in their weight classes, and we had many other people get 2nd and 3rd. I got 5th, not to brag about anything, but so that went very well. And girls basketball and wrestling had both of their senior nights very recently to commemorate the seniors for all the work that they've done throughout the athletics programs throughout their times, and that went very well, and everybody was very happy for that, and everybody celebrated. Next week, we're going to have the National English Honor Society induction for our new inductees, the juniors coming up, and that will be the 6th, so that's something that a lot of our students are looking forward to. And next week, the big thing is the blood drive Give Red for Ed, which is hosted by National Honor Society, which is hosted by our National Honor Society, which will be next Thursday. And you probably heard the Connect Ed that came out from Esra Ordonez. Him and Jackie Gamero, they're the co-chairs of this drive, and they're running it and organizing it essentially. And our class, the class of 24, were selling carnations during school and singing telegrams for Valentine's Day. So if you'd like to buy a teacher or somebody a singing telegram, me and Reese and a few others are actually going to go up and sing. Some people bought 5 for one teacher, so we're going to be there singing the exact same song 5 times over.
Oh my God.
So that'll be
Could we get a preview of that song?
No, you may not. I'm curious.
Okay. Also, we had our Science National Honor Society induction on Tuesday night. That went very well. JV cheerleading won the Westchester Invitational, which is very exciting for them. And then recently there was the Junior Science and Humanities Symposium, or JSHS competition, where Isabella Cui came in first place in the category of cell biology, genetics, and neurology. Christina Morganova came in second in engineering and technology, and Felicia Rodriguez came in second in medicine and health. The 3 winners will be going to compete at the state competition in February. That's it.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Luft, your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, all. So I was able to attend the elementary school fourth grade band concert. It's always a tremendous outpouring of student talents. I think the entire fourth grade class participates in both the chorus and the band. In fact, the band had to perform in 2 totally different ensembles because you can't possibly fit all the kids on there at once. So we got to hear the chorus, the band, students in attendance got an opportunity to sing along. I know it was standing room only that evening when the parents came back, so kudos to everyone involved on putting that together, and certainly a showcase of our music program beginning in the elementary school. I attended the high school Science National Honor Society induction here the other evening. We actually heard from 2 PhD candidates doing medical research. It was really impressive to hear about the research they were doing, slightly depressing because they were talking about a form of cancer where the mortality rate is about 90-something% within 4 months. But it seems like a good one to be studying in terms of looking to find a cure. They use lots of really big words I didn't understand. I'm sure the science research kids understood more than I did. But actually, I was surprised at the end. I was curious as to how they found these 2 individuals to come up and speak. And at the end, they spoke about one of our students. They're actually the mentor for Kate Nielsen for her science research project. And that's how, so they gave her a shout out and talked about some of the work that she does with them in the lab. So it was really impressive to hear, and certainly congratulations to those students that were inducted. Last evening, we had a capital projects committee meeting. We finalized our scope of work, talk about next steps, communication, all of those things. And the next step in that process will be for KG&D architects, myself, likely Mr. Spittle and Ms. Figuerella, to present those recommendations from the committee to the Board of Education. So we'll find a time where that fits into one of our presentations and provide the board and the community a first glimpse at what that scope of work looks like. As promised in the very beginning, all work is based upon a tax neutral. So once we would replace retiring debt, so as debt falls off, we would look to replace that debt and upgrade some of our buildings. There's actually a lot of work on the exterior of our buildings, parking lots and such. So it's tax neutral, meaning there will not be an additional tax applied to the community to fund this project. We're also looking to fund parts of the project using our existing reserves to, again, reduce any bonded money and hence interest that would be paid on that bonded money. We held an administrative team meeting where we talked about supporting our E&L students and the new New York State literacy mandates. I had an athletic council meeting where we talked about a variety of topics that were up for vote at the state level. A finance committee meeting looking at our health insurance plan moving forward. We had a meeting with the PVFT leadership team that was very productive, talking about how to work better together moving forward. An executive committee, and we had just prior to this meeting negotiations with our Putnam Valley Administrative Association, and I'm hopeful that we're getting close to reaching a resolution or a settlement with them as their contract's up at the end of this school year. We held an after-school professional development session on Monday, and the topic was school security updates. Everyone had an opportunity to work with our security consultants and address any concerns or questions they may have. We are beginning screening for the business official position next week. So we have several individuals coming in to be screened for that, and then the committee interviews are already scheduled for the week following the February break. I want to thank all of those who volunteered to be part of those committee interviews. And everything I have to read about the science research students, Kira read. So I won't reread everything, but I will say congratulations to those students. I know there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it. I was here for the sort of dry run preparation evening, and it was really impressive to hear the type of work that our students are doing. Quick look at some upcoming events. We have on February 8th is the annual legislative forum. So we'll be meeting with Senator Rollison. I have a recertification for evaluations. Our students' artwork is on display at the Katona Museum of Art. The opening reception is set for Sunday, February 11th, and the art will be on display through March 3rd. And our Chinese New Year celebration at the elementary school is scheduled for Tuesday, February 13th. While not necessarily open to the public, If you have a child participating or you were able to attend, there is nothing cuter than watching 5-year-olds sing songs in Chinese. That's pretty impressive. And that's it. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to attending that, so much fun. And there's also the PTA meeting, I believe, next Tuesday night, so heads up on that. Okay, thank you. So now we're going to go into our presentations. It's our 24-25 budget planning presentation, and we're starting off with technology and Michael Lee.
Welcome, Mr. I was wondering if you guys fought it out who was going first, but Mr. Lee's on the agenda first. Welcome.
Okay. All right, hi everyone. I'm Mike Lee, Director of Technology, and this is the technology budget presentation. So let's start off with a quote. Slow and steady wins the race. Now, I get it. If you're actually doing an actual race, maybe this isn't the best quote, right? Like if you're in the Olympics, 100-meter dash, no one's like, hey, Usain, wait, come here for a second. Slow and steady, okay? That's the pro tip, slow and steady. But in our business, slow and steady definitely wins a race, because if you do too much, too quickly, that's when things start to break. And that's why we have a very well measured and managed and planned upgrade path for everything that we have here. But before we get into that, some updates on some things that we spoke about in November. Starting toward the middle of the list, computer-based testing. I just want to take a second to recognize the technology team, especially Dan and Laura, for their efforts in making the simulation go as smoothly as it did. I can't tell you the countless hours, not just days, weeks that they spent making sure every detail was so carefully planned, and they ran simulations before the simulation. There was so much regarding the technical aspect to make this run. And they did just, I think, a fantastic job. So thank you, Dan and Laura, for that. Papercut, we recently got the card readers installed on the Xerox machines, and so we're just beginning to test that out. If you recall Papercut, that's the thing where you could print it anywhere in the district using your swipe card. Language translation devices. After some trials, we've kind of landed on TimeKettle is the front runner for students, because that's the device where you have that device in your ear, and when the teacher speaks, you could hear it and it gets translated. And for staff, Pocket Talk seems to be a really good device for translations. Regarding artificial intelligence, we've got some pretty exciting professional development coming up. On March 6th, we'll be attending another Future of Education workshop at PNW BOCES. Those are the workshops where the surrounding districts all get together and we sort of handhold each other through the AI roller coaster. And on March 13th, at our next Super Nintendo Conference Day, we're going to bring somebody in who will be demonstrating some new tools and teaching us how to better engineer our prompts, right? Because that's garbage in, garbage out, right? Quality in, quality out. So that's pretty cool. So this is the just over the horizon slide from last year.
Thank you.
As you can see, the multifunction device refresh, we got that done. The storage replacement that we had planned, that was a really big deal, and we got that done. So next on the list is the network core replacement. So that brings us to this slide. So over the horizon from now, the next thing we'll do is, that's the network core replacement. If you recall, the network core is basically everything goes through that, right? Imagine like a traffic circle, right? Or maybe a bicycle wheel. You've got the hub in the middle. All the traffic goes through these things, and we've got 2 of them, 1 on each campus. After that, we're going to do server replacements. Remember, we've got a server here that hosts a little more than 41 different servers. So it's one big server, right, that hosts 41 different systems. And then after that, we're going to replace these switches and wireless access points. So if you remember this slide from last year, who cares about infrastructure? Well, if you think about it, good infrastructure really supports everything that we value, right? Good infrastructure really supports everything we care about. So of course, we want to support and enhance educational experiences for our students, right? Of course, we want to enable distance learning, remote access, and computer-based testing. All of these things on this list are supported by good infrastructure. But likewise, on the flip side, all of these things can fall apart if you've got poor infrastructure. So what's our replacement plan and timeline for these things? So this year, this summer, we're going to replace the network cores on both campuses. Hopefully, like our storage replacement that we did, it'll be a lot of work, kind of a lot of, I don't want to use the word risk, but it's, you know, it's a lot. But hopefully nobody notices the changeover, right? That would be the perfect situation. So we're going to be replacing both cores. After that, so going more into the following year, we're going to be replacing the really big server. And then after that, we're going to be replacing the switch, all the switches and wireless access points. Here are the funds we have available for these upgrades. For 24 and 25, we've got E-rate Category 2 funding available to us, and those funds, $273,000, expire at the end of 2025. Good news is in 2026, that all gets refreshed again, right? So we have another bucket of $273,000 to use for new projects. And we also have $234,000 available to us from our leftover Smart Schools bond money. So here's just a general overview of the expenses that we go through annually. It's a lot of it's maintenance. There are a lot of licenses involved also for financial systems and security systems. More supplies and everything. We're going to need to get more laptops, Chromebooks, other infrastructure items. This year, as we did last year, we'll go for another BOCES IPA for $280,000, but the budget-to-budget impact of that will be roughly, they estimate, $63,000. So the way that works is like a payment will fall off, but then this payment gets added on, and so they kind of net each other out, right? So the budget-to-budget impact is usually pretty negligible. And we get an aid ratio of 65% on everything that we get through that. Staffing has remained unchanged since the 2018-19 school year. So this is what we've got. And these are the people supporting the district. Basically, just we're lean and mean is what I like to say. Yeah. We're lean and nice. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Michael. Questions,
Any
Sam?
questions?
No, excellent, Michael, excellent. Your involvement in the technology for this district goes back many, many years, and it's really appreciated. We do a bang-up job. I was talking to Dr. Luff the other day, and I said in the past when I was here as AP, I used to call this place the Academy, and welcome to the Academy. We truly are. If you look at what we offer and the innovations and the technology-based platform that our kids operate on, we are a private academy in almost every sense of the word. And the work that you and your department does contributes to that greatly. And much thanks for that.
Thank you. Thanks.
Crystal?
Just congratulations on getting through the CBT simulation.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work on the
Yes,
back
yeah,
end.
yeah.
It is an extreme amount of work. So thank you so much to you and the team. I'm sure that you took pressure off the administrators and the staff to just have it ready to go. So thank you so much for that. And truly, I really do appreciate the planning that you've done to make sure that we're being responsible, that we're also making sure that our kids have what they need to be able to learn, that teachers have what they need for the district to run smoothly, but in a way that really makes sense. So thank you. Great job.
All right, thank you.
And just going back to Sam's comment regarding academy and last meeting comment regarding private school, we all know that we need to balance that with being fiscally responsible to our taxpayers. So that's always top notch for us. So I do have a question for you.
Sure.
The network core replacement, do you utilize our own internal staff for that, or do you have to contract out?
It's going to be a combination of both, because as part of that purchase comes like installation for that. So it's a combination of Cisco staff and us.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And again, just want to recognize your staff because they do a great job keeping the school up
They really do.
and running with, there's a lot of different pieces that get touched every day, and so they do a great job on that.
Great, thank you.
And Dr.
Thanks. Just a couple quick questions, or clarifications. Can you just briefly explain, we use words like E-rate, and I'm not sure, other than myself, maybe a couple individuals up here, many understand. So you want to just quickly talk about what that means and where that funding comes from?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so E-rate is a federal program which gives schools money to pay for technology upgrades, right? So you've got Category 1 funds, which deal with upgrades to your bandwidth, right? So that would be like your Optimum Online or your Fios at home. But then you've got Category 2 funds, and those have to deal with any sort of upgrades to your network or infrastructure inside of your schools. And so that's what we'll be utilizing to upgrade our internal networks. And how that works is you get a project total, and that's based on the enrollment of your kids. And I think most recently it was something around like $165 or so per student that you get. And so with that, you have a project total, funds that you could utilize, and that's for us that was $273,000, and then we could purchase up to that amount. And we get reimbursed at our aid rate of 65%, after we successfully complete that project. So that's how the Category 2 funding works.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you, a quick recap of smart school bonds too?
Yeah, so a number of years ago, we got Smart Schools bond money. I forgot the total that we got. It might have been $700-something, $800-something thousand. And with that, like Category 2 funding, we were able to spend that money on upgrading all of our internal systems. And so the first time around, what we did was we purchased all new switches, wireless access points, anything that would support our internal systems. And the grand total of that did not deplete all of our funds. And so we still have that 200 and, I forgot what number we had there, but we still have that left over. But the good thing about the Smart Schools bond money is that it does not expire. So you could save it, and then the next time you need it, then you could spend the rest of the money.
Do we gain interest on that, I wonder?
Wouldn't that be nice?
I'm sure they
That'd
keep
be
you
good.
interested.
That'd be good. Yeah.
That'd be good, that's right.
And just one last clarification. For the IPA, the installment purchase agreement, I know we're borrowing $280,000 at 7.5% over 5 years, so it's a little bit over $300,000. So the budgetary impact is about $63,000 a year. But at the same time, you had quickly mentioned that there's the equivalent amount of money, or almost the equivalent amount of money falling off?
Yeah, that falls off, right. And so to sustain our level of technology that we have here, the budget-to-budget spend, or like I said, the budget-to-budget impact is negligible because as one falls off, then you put another one on. So we're able to get a lot of value out of this because we're able to purchase $200,000 worth of equipment and supplies without that huge budget impact, right? Without the $200-something thousand budget impact. So that's the system that we have running here,
So even the $63,000, which is 1 year's share of that money, is offsetting an IPA that we just paid off. So it's not that our budget's increasing by $63,000. It's that we're able to spend we're able to receive $280,000 of equipment for what ultimately still balances our budget, right? So we're losing an expense, we're gaining an expense. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that.
Excellent.
Yep.
And again, congratulations. I know you guys do a tremendous job. I think I say the same thing every year, but I think you address the most important part about technology. If everything works perfectly, nobody even knows it's there.
Yeah.
So you don't receive accolades and credit because things just work. You hear instantly the second something doesn't work.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not that that happens often. But I do want to commend the work that you guys do and recognize the fact that the fact that nobody's calling you is a sign that everything's working really well. So,
For sure.
all right. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
All right, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
So next, we're going to hear from our athletic department and the budget for 24-25.
So welcome up, Mr. David Kantrowitz.
Good evening, everyone. So as we get started, if some things look similar to you, that's by design. We have finally found our way for the time being, a very sustainable and stable athletic budget. The processes and systems that we've put in place over the past few years have started to pay off. We've found our smooth sailing, again, for the time being. Anything could change anytime. As far as our staff goes, it remains primarily unchanged. The only addition that we have is one new coaching position. We added a coach in the fall. Other than that, it's still one administrator, one senior office assistant, 8 instructional staff, including our 6 full-time PE teachers, which consists of 2 in each building, a PE and health teacher that splits between the middle school and high school, and 1 full-time health teacher here at the high school. We also have 4 school nurses, which puts 1 in each of our 3 buildings, and we have 1 floating nurse. In terms of our athletic offerings, like I said in the fall, that's the only area where we saw change. We added a JV boys soccer team this year in response to the rising interest in the sport and the growing population that's interested. We had a group of about 40 kids come out for high school soccer this year, which was enough to field that second team, where in the past, had we not had that opportunity, 15 to 20 of those kids would not have made the team. They wouldn't have been playing soccer at all. In the winter, our athletic offerings remain the same and stable all the way through, and the same goes for the spring. We keep all of our same sports. When we talk about the athletic budget, there's 5 main components. It includes transportation, stipends for our coaches, our trainers, our support staff, various state, section, and conference fees through BOCES, other fees like coaches' dues and officials' fees, all worked into that section. We have our materials and supplies, which include jerseys and athletic equipment and other things that the student athletes need to participate, and our live streaming video sources. So like I mentioned before, one of our primary goals is safety and sustainability. We always want to make sure that our student athletes have adequate and safe equipment for practices, games, whatever type of physical activity they're participating in. And we've been working really hard to create a sustainable cycle of replacing any old, broken, outdated equipment. And by doing so, it's helped us create a real variety of athletic programs at various levels for our student athletes to participate in. We're always trying to take the temperature of our student athletes and see what offerings interest them. Most recently, we sent out a spring survey, which bounced back to us that showed us that the offerings that we have meet the needs of our students. There's no real outlier there that would justify overtaking another program. And as always, we're trying to eliminate any unnecessary costs to the district or the community. So looking ahead at next year, the areas where we anticipate costs going up or increasing is in our coaching stipends, which is tied directly to the PVFT contract. Our equipment and supplies constantly going up, whether it's inflation, shipping, delays, whatever it may be. That's something that we have planned for. And one of the areas of increase that we've seen this year that's, I would say exciting for us is we've had special transportation and lodging. We've had more teams than ever making it to post-sectional play, entering state tournaments, being invited to special invitationals, all around. Our cheerleading team is competing next weekend down at Disney World in the national championships. They were state champions, they were section champions, regional champions. So it's been a really exciting time in Putnam Valley athletics. And unfortunately, that comes with a little bit of a cost to us, but something that we celebrate, and we're okay footing that bill. As far as savings goes, we have worked to reduce our spending on standard transportation, and some of the ways that we've done that is we've started implementing a policy where students who are participating on a merged, non-hosted sport, which means a sport that we at Putnam Valley do not host, we work with another district to allow our students to participate on one of their teams. We have those student athletes self-transport, whether it's them driving themselves, their parents, what have you, to reduce busing needs for us. We've also reduced return transportation for our fall and spring modified teams. We have teams such as soccer, lacrosse, softball, baseball at the modified level who practice off-site, whether that's at our elementary school or the town park. And to reduce the return runs with the buses, we've made home games and practices a pickup event, so parents can pick their kids up from there rather than busing them back to the middle school to pick them up from the middle school anyway. So that saved us a significant amount of transportation money. And the last one was drop-only events for JV and varsity teams. Many times we've learned, in events like wrestling, events like cheerleading, where their tournaments are 7, 8, 9-hour events, many of the parents ultimately end up coming and picking their kids up or arranging a plan to pick their kids up rather than having a bus sit there for 8, 9 hours to return empty. We've started identifying opportunities to make those drop-only events. In regard to our streaming and coverage, this school year is the first year that we fully transitioned from Local Live to Huddle. Both are similar platforms in terms of streaming services. It allows us to watch our events live at home for people who can't make it. We went with Huddle because it provided a more interactive database. It allows us to analyze video, splice video, create highlight reels for our kids. It does analytics for us, all these great features, and it's about half the cost of Local Live was for just streaming. So that saved us a significant amount of money there. When we talk about our materials and supplies, our athletic trainer, Megan Smithson, also serves as our equipment manager, which has been instrumental in reducing redundancies and managing our inventory, making sure that we're only purchasing things that we truly need, and also, giving me a heads up that, hey, these things are getting old, we're getting a little outdated, we should plan for this in the future. We've worked to secure large cost equipment with any applicable warranties and maintenance schedules, things that, if something goes wrong, if it's an expensive item, they're going to come in and fix it rather than us needing to just buy another one. We've started implementing a preventative maintenance program in our weight room. We have them come in at the beginning of every year, and for a flat fee, they will replace any wires, cords, padding, things like that seem to be aging or becoming unsafe. Like I mentioned earlier, this is our first full cycle through the jersey cycling procedure that we made. It's really helped us extend the life of our jerseys. We've moved on to a 4-year cycle, so a varsity team will get a new jersey every 4 years, at which point that jersey begins to make its way down to the junior varsity team, to the modified team, and finally out. We've worked with state contracted vendors, which gives us, in our equipment supply line, around 30% savings over the standard retail price on team equipment. And this year, as you can see in the picture, we had a great award. One of our student athletes won, Eduardo Racinos, was the Heart of a Giant, like we saw at our last meeting. And that gave us a $10,000 equipment grant, which took care of our entire football program for the 2024-2025 school year. In addition, when we talk about our game day supervision, obviously very important to us, we've added a seasonal game day coordinator position, which has reduced the need for hourly chaperones across all sports. This is somebody who has administrative duty on site, who has the keys to get to where they need to be, can relate to the officials, the parents, myself, and has that direct line of contact if emergency services are needed. And we've also implemented a universal no practice day on Sundays, which has reduced our need for custodial overtime and building supervision.
That's smart.
In addition to the money that we're trying to save with our actions, our teams have become fundraising extraordinaires. We have been hosting all sorts of special events to offset team expenses. We just had our Putnam Valley Wrestling Tournament that Charlie mentioned. That event and its multiple avenues of income raised about $8,800 for their program. That's going to offset tournament expenses, travel expenses, entry fees, all sorts of things that the team needs, and give them the opportunity to attend events that they typically would not have had access to. Coming up next weekend, we have our Tiger Cheer Tournament, and in the planning and lead up to that, and the concessions and things that will take place there, we're expecting to bring in over $25,000, which has solely funded their trip to the national championships. That trip that is sending, I believe it's 20 girls to Disney for 4 days, full competition, their food, their hotels, their flights, everything has been offset by their fundraising throughout the year. They've done a really phenomenal job, and it's really giving them an unbelievable opportunity. We've hosted an alumni game the past 3 years for basketball, which has raised funds, brought our community back together, and just, again, not only provided us an opportunity to raise some money for our kids, but bring our past kids, who are now adults and way bigger than I am, back into the district for some fun before the holidays. Most of our teams have aligned with our booster club to offer some form of concessions at the games, which every penny counts. It all comes back to our kids. And it's helped fund their senior night celebrations, making sure every senior that's leaving, each team is leaving with some type of memento, flowers for the parents, whatever it may be. And last but not least, we have our Superstore, which will be opening again soon for the spring. Last school year in total, we raised just over about $5,000, which again goes directly to the teams, directly to the students, to help offset any costs or any miscellaneous expenses that they may have. So our teams, our booster club, they've been doing a really phenomenal job helping us out, and kudos to them and congratulations to them, because it's really given them the chance to explore different events and different opportunities that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. And that's all I have for 24-25.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
No,
Sam?
just outstanding, Coach. Since you came on board, I mean, it's like a revolution in the athletic department and athletic events, and I mean that sincerely. Believe it or not, for 8 weeks, I was AD, athletic director, back in the day. It was the one job in my life that I regretted ever saying, yeah, I'll do that, I'll try that. Oh my God, the stuff you have to deal with, and the scheduling and everything else. So you have pulled it together, you have unified this community and this district, and kudos to you and your team, just outstanding.
Thank you.
It's very impressive to see the way that you have really looked at what our program needs, but also what we could do differently to save costs, which in turn really betters our student experience, right? I really appreciate that keen eye of looking at the transportation so closely, looking at ways for them to fundraise, which I believe is a really good experience for kids to do and work hard to figure out how they can do something they want to do. So I was really very impressed with the way that you've saved funds here and there. I'm a big fan of the sportswear. I buy one almost every season, so I'm looking forward to the spring store. And to know that the proceeds of that clothing is going to our kids is even better. So kudos to you for a great job.
Thank you.
Well done.
David, I have a question regarding the JV soccer. Is there a reason we don't have modified?
So we have modified boys soccer. We did not have modified girls soccer this fall due only to their enrollment numbers. The numbers weren't enough to field the team, but we were able to disperse those girls into other programs. So the majority of those girls who signed, I believe there was only 6 that signed up to play, and it's a team of 11 to even get out there and start. But we were able to put those girls in other places, and we've been working with Parks and Rec, running off-season youth soccer programs down in the Wellness Center to try to build that population back up. We've witnessed an explosion in field hockey and volleyball in this district over the last 2 years. Both teams have been repeat section finalists the last 2 years. Volleyball won it this year. Field hockey lost in the championship game. So that hype and excitement has really drawn a lot of girls to those programs. But we're hopeful that with the partnership with Parks and Rec, we're going to be able to bring that back next year.
I think maybe just to clarify a little bit further, based upon historical trends and the students that enrolled last year are what determine the sport offerings, what's on here. That's not to say that if unexpectedly there's a huge influx of girls soccer players that we wouldn't then go figure out how to offer JV or modified, or I'm looking at softball. So right now we're projecting a varsity and a modified team. But if we end up with enough girls to field the JV team, we'll figure out how to make that happen. So while these are projections, it's not to say that the holes wouldn't be filled if the interest was there. We're always going to go out of our way to ensure that those that are interested have an opportunity to play. Right. And to today's point, if there's not enough interest to field the team, we work individually with those students to help find them another sport in which they can participate for that season.
And just to add on to that, we are fully prepared to run the modified team. We have a coach in place, we have the equipment, we have the uniforms. It's sitting packaged, ready to go. All we need now is the interest from our students.
But for the boys, though, you don't have a boys modified?
We do.
Okay, it's just not on the screen, that's why I was questioning it. The boys soccer, so that's right.
That was an error. That must have gotten bumped off when I put
So when you
JV.
said there were 40 going into JV, I knew there was interest in the
we do
middle
have
school.
the only
So-
team that we planned for this year that didn't run was modified girls soccer.
Okay.
Everyone else ran.
Great, thank you. And the 4-year life cycle of the uniforms, and then get passed down more, what's the total? I know it varies between sports, but it just almost seems like year 6, they must be in shreds.
So
Or-
usually by year 7 is when we need to start replacing them. We've been ordering in sets of 30. None of our teams really hold a roster of 30 that are wearing uniforms. So while half may start to go after year 4, 5, 6, we still have another half to go there. A prime example of that is basketball. We have 30 basketball uniforms. We never have more than 15 kids on the basketball team. So we have a full another team set of jerseys that's going down with each age group. And we did, when we first initially started this, going through the process of seeing where the needs were, there were some modified jerseys that had to be over 10 years old. And we bought them new specific modified jerseys to get them through this first cycle of change.
Good.
And the cycle is consistent with boys sports and girls sports, correct?
Yes, it's consistent now based on when they got their jerseys. So 2 years ago when I came in, we looked at all of the varsity jerseys, and when the most recent data we had that they had been replaced, we found ones that were just in really bad shape. We replaced those. That started their 4-year clock. Last year, there was more groups that said, okay, now we have the funds, we're going to do these groups. We did them. It was primarily in girls' sports that we noticed. So a lot of if you look at our teams, a lot of our girls' teams have very brand new jerseys within a year or two. But once they get their new set is what started our cycle. So by the end of next school year, every team will have gotten new jerseys since I've been here. And that will start, and that gave us a pretty even distribution each year. So we're never going to run into a position where we need to do 20 teams worth of jerseys in 1 year. It's nice and spaced out for us.
All right, thank you. Dr. Luft, any other questions?
So, very much unlike Mr. Lee, whether you do a fantastic job or not, your phone's always ringing, as I'm well aware of. So I know that there is no rest for the weary in the athletic director world, but I do very much appreciate all that you do. I remember when we interviewed you for the position, and you spoke about, during your presentation, the things that you wanted to do. And you spoke about the creation of a Hall of Fame. You spoke about sort of a hallway of trophies and recognitions. You spoke about getting more district staff involved in coaching. You spoke about creating closer relationships with our youth sports programs. And this is now year 3. And I don't think there's a single thing on that list of things you said you were going to do that has not already been accomplished in ultimately what's really 2.5 years of your time here. So it's a huge accomplishment. I look forward to seeing how many more amazing things you could do during your full career here in Putnam Valley. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to your entire staff. Obviously, Megan and Kathy and all of the coaches that put in countless hours to make this all possible for students. Thank you.
It's always a great day to be a Tiger.
Yeah. Students, do you guys have any questions for either Mike or?
I don't know.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you both for your
Thank you, thank
presentations,
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Charlie, how did Mr. Kanchowitz do, right?
Pretty
Public
good.
speaking skills,
It was good. It was good.
presentation skills.
Maybe not as good as the science research kids, but well, that can always be.
I think one slide had too many words on it.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Short and sweet.
So, okay, we're going to move into our new business now with item number 1, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to accept the resignation of Angela Methens from the district, effective February 18th, 2024, as per document 117/24 attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I want to recognize, I think Angela's been in the Putnam Valley School District for 22 years.
Right.
So she's provided a tremendous service to our students, both as an English teacher and more recently as an E&L teacher. She'll certainly be greatly missed. The district has been actively seeking a replacement. I know we have screenings coming up next week, I believe. And we're going to do everything we can to find as highly qualified of a candidate as we can to fulfill the big shoes she's leaving behind.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Item number 2, please.
Resolved to set the following dates for action regarding the 2024-25 district budget vote and board election. May 7th, 2024, final budget hearing, 7 p.m. at the high school cafeteria. May 21st, 2024, budget vote and board election at the elementary school from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. And item number 3, please.
Resolved to authorize clerk of the district to arrange and enter into contracts for voting machines, voter check-in, poll book systems, to have the necessary ballots printed, and to make other arrangements for the district budget vote and board election scheduled for May 21st, 2024, as are necessary and appropriate. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second.
Questions or comments? Maureen, I know last year we had some issues with the voting machines and they were being used for, I think, the general election. Do we have,
That's this year.
do we have any
Not to be
issues?
able to have, we have to rent our own machines this
Okay.
year. The county is not providing them to any of the Putnam school districts.
So for anyone looking for an advocacy angle, I'm looking at you, Sam. I know for a fact that other counties are allowing districts to utilize these machines
Yep.
and making the timing work. Putnam County has been resistant to do so for any of their schools. So the district being forced to rent these machines comes at a significant expense to our taxpayers, upwards of $20,000.
Over 20,000.
Over,
Is this new?
Anytime, they told me it'll be anytime there's a presidential election.
so Westchester County's making it work for all of the school districts in Westchester County. Dutchess County, who used to say no, has found a way to make it work for Dutchess County. There's been several meetings with Putnam County seeking to get them on board to allow us to utilize the machines as well. If the other counties figure it out, we should be able to as well. But there's been great resistance to doing so. So if you imagine the expense that we're taking on for $25,000, imagine what the cost is to Carmel and Brewster and Mahopac, significantly larger schools, more voting locations. So it's really a tremendous burden on our school districts when the machines are really just sitting in the county during that period of time.
Yeah, what's the reason?
Dr. Luff?
I believe I think they thought the machines were going to have to be locked down after primaries and stuff, but the way the dates are working, the other counties have said now they can release them because there isn't a conflict with the date.
Yeah.
And they did tell us. They told us 4 years ago, but that was during COVID and it didn't happen. We ended up doing a hand count anyway.
Right.
But we never anticipated the cost when they told us we'd have to rent machines. All the districts thought, okay, whatever, but it's very expensive. very expensive.
So we've heard they're going to be embargoed. We've heard there's storage issues. We've heard lots of different things. But if Westchester County, for the number of schools they have, can figure it out, and Dutchess County, for the size of the schools they have, can figure it out, I'm not sure how Putnam County, for as small as we are, how we can't figure it out.
Have the superintendents of the county gone before the legislature or, spoke with Executive Byrne?
I mean, there hasn't been a collective effort, but there's been individual efforts made, and we're talking about how to collectively make a push for it.
When would this decision have to be made by? I know they're saying no now, but what leeway do we have?
We probably have another few weeks, I think a month. We have a contract we have a quote with the rental company, so we can always cancel that.
We should write a letter.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm
Any
going
other
to speak to
comments
them.
on that?
I'll give a call to the
You know,
executive and some of the legislators.
The real concern comes also not just that we might have one vote. You know, there's always a possibility you're having more than one, or you don't know that, right? We're hopeful that we don't have to have a second one, but that's always a possibility as well, right? So if that happens, it's double the expense, right? So.
Right. So God forbid our first vote goes down, we have to rent the machines again for a second.
$50,000.
Now it's $50,000.
Jeez.
We need to write a letter. You can call. We'll write the letter.
No, I know the legislators.
I'm having dinner with one next week,
Yeah.
so.
I think we're all going to be involved now because you now. So.
And obviously, we're willing to do whatever it is we can do
Right.
to facilitate making this happen.
Yeah.
If we
I
need it
think-
for a shorter period of time, we have less time to set it up, they need it back quicker, they need it back, whatever freedoms we have in terms of security of our vote, we're willing to partner in any way we can to make that happen.
To go along with what Sam said, there's there's power in numbers. So if the superintendents can get together to make
That would be the best way.
that would be a great opportunity.
I have a meeting with them tomorrow, so it's on our agenda for the superintendent's meeting tomorrow morning.
Okay. Keep us posted on that.
Okay.
Thank
Are you aware if other boards have sent any letters or advocated in any way yet? Because power in numbers would also be for us.
Yeah, I don't know personally. I guess I'll know more after tomorrow. I don't know any personally. I know there's been conversations. I know business officials have been involved.
Working on it.
Superintendents have been involved.
Brewster is heading up some conversations with the county, but because they're a larger district, right, so they would have definitely more skin in the game than somebody
They're-
like
they're
us. But
huge. Brewster.
there doesn't seem to be any movement on their part to make a change. So we're gonna keep talking about it, but it's possible that, like I said, if you have a second vote or, possibly a third vote, if we ever had a capital vote next year, which we're talking about doing, that's 3 votes, right? So I don't know how that's gonna fit into our budget, but it's certainly gonna impact it.
So, Maureen, if I can, just to clarify, they claim because of the presidential election that this has occurred.
They don't have machines to give us.
Normally, we would get them
Free.
with no problem. But a presidential election, they
Yes.
claim,
Due
is
to the
the
primaries.
roadblock.
I think the primary is April
The
2nd.
primaries,
Yeah, it's
Fourth?
they told us it'll happen every year because of the primaries during a presidential election.
So that primary, April 2nd, is well over a month before.
Before the vote.
Before our vote.
They talk about having to embargo the machines if there's a problem, but we were saying we didn't think it had to be that long of a time.
I believe the date's changed and that isn't in effect anymore. That's why Dutchess was able to release their machines. And we're talking, the Putnam districts each only want 2 machines each. Maybe Mapac wants 3. So we're not talking about a room full of machines. It's not a lot.
Right, right.
Brewster reached out to the county executive, and it got bounced down to somebody else.
Kevin didn't,
I'm not sure what happened, but the next person in line called back and said,
all right.
yeah.
Put out our feelers.
Thank you.
So, thank you. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
aye, yes.
I
Opposed?
forgot that was an agenda.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. And that's it. So now we open it up to public comment on any topic.
I'd like to talk about voting machines.
Anyone? Yeah? Thank you, okay. So next, we're going to move to spotlight topics on presentations and upcoming meetings.
So our next meeting, we are scheduled to have PPS and facilities presentations, special education and facilities presentations.
Great, thank you. Okay, now board member comments on any topic?
I just want to say that the fourth grade concert, to Jeremy's earlier point, was absolutely amazing. Very well done. Very big class, lots of kids, 2 bands, a ginormous chorus. It was just beautiful to see that many children involved in the arts, and to see the parental support that was there that night where it was standing room only. It was beautiful. So kudos to the elementary school for that.
They did a great job on Ode to Joy. I was
Yes.
surprised to see that was in their the venue. I mean, that's an advanced piece. Dun, 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 dun. Loved it.
I love the Spanish and the
Told you we
English
would do a duet
aspects
one
of it,
day.
of the concert also. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it was a beautiful night.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, we have a contingent of young women who wrestle, and they've been doing exceedingly well. I'm very impressed about that. And also our cheerleaders. You know, I'm not, predicting anything, but I bet they're going to come back with some huge success down in Florida. Every year they get better and better. And, kudos to all the athletes in our district, and especially female athletes who never really got the recognition when I went to school, and even up to 15 years ago or so. So I love to see that moving forward, and that's just outstanding.
Barbara and I had the opportunity to sit on the West Putt Zoom meeting last week. The topic was communications, and I've sat on several of these meetings, and one thing I always come out of the meeting with is we do a really good job at things, and I'm glad to hear that, especially the communication piece, as well as other topics they're having, and the next one's on civics, so that should be an interesting conversation also. But every time I walk out of there, I'm very proud of our district, so thank you. Let's see, along with that, Natalie, Jill, Jackie, comments from you guys? Anything that you want to? Okay. Thank you. Jeremy, anything else? Nope. Then that's it. We made it in an hour, Barbara. 7:59. So,
Amazing.
Barbara and Helen picked all the meetings.
yeah. So motion to adjourn the business meeting. Sam, motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay, yes, move to adjourn, right, yes, second.
And I
Thirded.
All in favor?
Very good,
Aye.
thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great evening and be healthy.